Losing a spouse is a very difficult thing when it occurs. But the reality is, for most people, there's also a financial impact or a financial loss as well. One of the things that really helps in that situation and in that timing is that of survivor Social Security benefits. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Thanks for tuning in. Hello, and welcome to another episode of The True Wealth Show. I'm Planner Mike, a certified financial planner professional and owner of True Wealth Financial. I believe that retirement should be prosperous, enjoyable, and purposeful. This is the show that's dedicated to helping Christians retire with confidence and clarity so that they'll be freer to serve God and live the life that they truly desire. As I mentioned in the introduction, losing a spouse can be a tremendous ordeal. I have never experienced that personally, but I've been around a lot of people that have. I've had clients that have lost their spouses. And so I know the impact of it emotionally, relationally, spiritually, socially, and sadly, financially. One of the things that can really help in that situation is survivor Social Security benefits, right? So as we articulated in the past, that's why it's so important to know to do some analysis on your Social Security benefits, because as we'll see today, survivor benefits are dependent upon what the primary worker gets, right? And so if you retire early or take a reduction, that long end survivor benefits is also going to be reduced. And so it can play a large role in it. And the big challenge is you only get one chance at pulling that Social Security lever, right? So you only get one decision. And you have to think about your retirement and your plan, spousal benefits potentially, like we unpacked last week, and now survivor benefits. Like, it's a big decision, which is why we're taking some time to really unpack it all. So when it comes to survivor benefits, today I want to talk about the eligibility. I want to talk about the amounts that you can get and some of the nuances of it. I want to talk about the impacts of a plan in general. And of course, we'll end with a couple micro actions that you can take to help inform your overall retirement. So what makes you eligible for survivor benefits, right? So number one, you have to be the spouse of a past person that has passed away that was eligible for benefits, right? And that person has passed away. You have to have been married to the decedent, or the husband or the wife, whoever passed away, for at least 9 months. So you can't get married today and someone passes away next week and then you get their benefits. It doesn't work that way. You have to be married for at least 9 months prior to death, and then you're potentially eligible. You have to have not remarried prior to age 60, right? So you have to be age 60 in order to receive benefits, and you have to have not remarried. Remarriage after 60 is okay, but not remarried before 60. So if you get married in 20s and that spouse passes away and then you get remarried in your early 30s and you're married to them the rest of your life, you can't get benefits from the initial spouse that passed away. So remarriage after 60 is okay, but not before. For divorced spouses, same things kind of when it comes to as it was with spouse benefits. You have been married for at least 10 years, and then that person passes away. So a little tip here for divorced spouses, what I recommend divorced spouses do, if you've been married to someone for over 10 years and now you've been divorced, you might not have a lot of contact with that person, right? And you might not have kids with that person. So what I recommend you do is go down to the Social Security Administration, go to your local office. You can try to call, but it's a real pain. You can try the web, but it's probably not going to do it. I'd recommend you go to the office and make sure that they have a record that you are a former divorced spouse of that person, because you might not know that they passed away. Well, Social Security is going to know pretty fast if they pass away. And if your name's on record, then they'll notify you that you're eligible for benefits potentially. So you want to have your name on record, especially if you don't have contact. Now, if you're still in contact with them, okay. If you have kids with them and the kids are in contact with them, maybe you don't have to do that. But I'd recommend you do it anyway, just because you never know. So that's what it comes to eligibility, right? So you have to be the surviving spouse, someone who passed away, been married at least 9 months, be over age 60, and if you're divorced, been married for at least 10 years. Now, when it comes to the amounts that you can get, right? So it gets even more complicated, right? So if you think regular benefits were difficult, which they were, and then spousal benefits are difficult, which they were, this is even more so the case, right? So generally speaking, The surviving spouse, like in a normal scenario, if the person is full retirement age or over, so 67 or older, the surviving spouse will get 100% of the deceased spouse, right? So husband's getting $3,000 Social Security, the wife's getting a lesser amount. Husband passes away, he's over age 67, she's over age 67. You step into that role and you get 100%. That's the easy part. If you're below 67 or full retirement age, whatever it is for you, all the way down to 60, right? So you can get benefits at 60. So most of the time you can't get them until 62. Surviving spouse benefits you can get age 60, but it's reduced, right? And it's a complicated system, so we're not going to go through it. It reduces all the way from 99% all the way down to 71.5%. Why they come up with these numbers, I have no idea, but they do. And so just know that it's a reduction through there. There's also special rules for if you have if you are disabled or if you're caring for a child that's under the age of 16, there's some rules there. So you're married to someone, you have a kid late in life, or you remarried to someone and you have a kid from them or whatever the scenario might be, but the kid's under 16 and that person passes away in their early 60s, there are special rules for that. We won't unpack them. Right. But the one nuance to this is it does not require you to file your benefits. So last week when we talked about spousal benefits, the spouse had to apply for theirs and then you would potentially get spousal benefits. That's not the case here. If the spouse passes away and you're over age 60 and you're married 9 months and so on and so forth, you can file for those benefits and yours continue to delay. So I have a client who's in this scenario, actually maybe two, that, same scenario, they're receiving survivor benefits, but we're letting hers, in both cases, right, delay and continue to grow because she doesn't need the income and she gets more of the benefits and they're still working and so on and so forth. However, speaking of working, though, there is earnings limitations. So again, spouses are age 60, the wife's still working, husband passes away. If you get benefits from those survivor benefits, but you're still working, you lose money. So we haven't talked about earnings limitations yet. Maybe we'll do another episode on that. It's another rule that's involved. But just in general, just know if you're still working, you might not want to file for those survivor benefits because you might lose it all anyway. And one nuance to the rule, again, I know we're already 3 levels down on these nuances here, but a lot of times if you file for benefits early on regular benefits and you work, they reduce your benefits, you actually get that back later, but you don't for survivor benefits, right? So there's no getting it back. So if you've heard this, say, I'll get it back later, it is true with yours, but not true with spousal benefits. So the next one I want to do here is dive into Right Capital and show you about the impacts of a plan. But first, if you're finding this information helpful or valuable, please hit the like button. Let me know to do more shows like this. Plus, it's a great way to say thank you. So like we've been doing here for the last couple episodes is we're going to use Rob and Rebecca retiree and Right Capital. Just as a reminder, they're both 61. Rob has maxed out his earnings throughout his career over 40 years. Rebecca has never worked. So what we're going to do is unpack the cash flows, look at kind of the base plan, what happens if Robert dies, what happens if he would have started things earlier, and we'll kind of look at the cash flows, to some degree, and the overall probability of success to show you the impact of the plan. So in this situation here, we have Robert and Rebecca retiree, age 61. And on our base case, we have a planning horizon of Robert passing away at age 90. When it comes to the Social Security, Robert's going to start his benefits at full retirement age. We have him maxing out the benefits for 40 years. And Rebecca essentially has never worked and will not receive any of her own benefits, but she will get spousal and survivor benefits. So when we look at their overall plan, we won't go in the details of everything, but you can see they have a pretty healthy plan, 100% probability, so basically no chance of running out of money, with a median income balance in their retirement accounts, portfolio accounts, of about $1.2 million. When we look at the cash flows, we can see that Robert starting his at full retirement age, Rebecca gets half of his PIA amount at full retirement age. So they have a good Social Security total income. What I do here now is go back essentially and update the planning horizon on Robert, and we're going to have him passing away at age 69. So then now if we look at their overall plan, we can see that it did have an impact, but not a huge impact because Robert's done a pretty good job overall. So the probability of success is down as well as the median portfolio. If we now look at the cash flows associated with that, we can see that Robert got his at full retirement age. Rebecca started her spousal benefits when Robert filed, so she got half, so he did pretty well. But then when Robert passes away at age 69, Rebecca's survivor benefits kick in. So you can see that basically the next year would have been him getting $59,000. Those go to Rebecca as a survivor benefit, but her spousal benefits stop, right? So she no longer gets her spousal benefits. She now gets his survivor benefits. And so this is the impact. She still gets $5,000 a month, which isn't horrible, but you can see it's a long ways away from what would have been $90,000 probably if Robert would have lived a couple of years. So next here, what I want to do is show you the impact of starting them early. So instead of Robert starting at full retirement age, we'll just say Robert starts his 3 years early, age 64. And now if we go to the probability of success, we can see that while still okay, it does have an impact far away from the 100% that they were at before, as well as the median balance coming down. And the cash flows also changed. So now Robert essentially has age 64. He starts his benefits. We have Rebecca starting at age 67, so her spousal benefits are not reduced. But we can see the impact to Rebecca's survivor benefits, whereas this was $59,000 because Robert took his early. He took a reduction, and survivor benefits are based upon the actual amount that the person got, not full retirement age per se, like spousal benefits. So Rebecca now has a $10,000 loss perpetually throughout her life, remaining life, because of him starting early. So you can see this is a really important decision when you're planning for two people. So hopefully that helps illustrate a little bit the idea of how survivor benefits work. As we conclude today, if you find this information helpful or valuable, please consider subscribing. That way you'll be notified of future episodes. Plus, it'll help get this information into those who might really need it. Today, we talked about survivor Social Security benefits, which is very dependent upon life expectancy and longevity, which unfortunately we never know. That's why it's so important to make this decision with the information you have in the most informed way as possible. Ideally, this should be done in conjunction with an overall comprehensive retirement plan. One that accounts for your retirement aspirations, your goals, your income needs, your timing, and a whole lot more. I know how overwhelming, complex, and confusing it can be. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them below or send an email to mike@truewealth.show. So a good micro action for the week. If you have a retirement plan, try to stress test it based upon the premature death of a spouse. And if you're a divorced spouse, like we talked about earlier, a good action might be for you to set up an appointment to go down to the Social Security Administration. Make sure that you are a spouse on record in case that divorced spouse passes away. Remember, the death of a spouse is hard enough. And while Social Security benefits will not bring them back, it could reduce the impact, the financial impact of their loss. So hopefully this information helps you on your path to a retirement that is prosperous, enjoyable, and purposeful. Until next time, hope you have a great day. God bless you. Thanks again for taking the time to watch this week's episode of the True Wealth Financial Show. I encourage you to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Additionally, you can find more information on our website at www.truewealth.show. One final note, though, as we wrap up to today's show. While I hope the information was helpful, valuable, and insightful, it's really for information and educational purposes only. Prior to making any decisions or taking any actions, I'd strongly encourage you to talk to your legal, tax, estate, or financial advisor who's familiar with the unique circumstances of your particular personal situation. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, hope you have a great day.